Hi, I'm Hannah Smith, the host of The Opportunist. You may have heard one of our seasons about the biggest opportunists in crime. Well, we're doing something a little different with our format now. We are still releasing full seasons, but we're also going to be releasing standalone episodes, one story told entirely in one episode. This week, we're diving into the story of a drug-smuggling plane crash in Yosemite National Park and a group of rock climbers who stole thousands of pounds of cannabis from the wreckage.
There are some people who made a lot of money off of it.
But in all of their excitement, they didn't stop to think about who the weed belonged to, or the dead bodies still inside the plane, or whether anyone might come looking for the missing drugs. Be sure to subscribe to Cast Media's podcast, The Opportunist, on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen.
What do you know about Dr. Dunch?
Based on the unbelievable true story.
I can't make sense of this.
Dr. Death.
Dunch has 2 deaths that we know of.
Starring Joshua Jackson with Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin.
I am going to fix you.
All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
Well, Broad, springtime is all about growth, baby, and what better way to relax, rejuvenate, and flourish than around a spring box that just so happens to be centered around the theme Grow Forth. And of course, you know where this box is from, baby. It's from FabFitFun, the Zoom edition.
I think we got to come up with like a new FabFitFun song. You know, spring is around the corner. We got to make something snappy.
Got to make it snappy.
Next time. And we'll work on it. We'll go back to the writer's room.
We're workshopping.
This spring box, though, is all about supporting self-care and self-growth, delivering you products from some of the most desirable brands in beauty and wellness on the market. You're going to get full-sized products from brands like Milk Makeup, we love, Splendid, and Our Place. Oh my God, I love Our Place. Delivered right to your door.
Nothing excites me more than when my FabFitFun box shows up at my door. You seriously don't want to miss out on this new season's box, Broads. Like I've said before, the spring box might be my favorite one yet. It is packed full of goodies. Oh my goodness.
Order your spring box today. Sign up now, and you're going to snag amazing products when you customize and use coupon code CHATTY for $10 off your first box at www.fabfitfun.com. In case you missed that, here it is again. Head to fabfitfun.com, use promo code CHATTY. You're going to get $10 off your first box today.
And welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Okay,
Broads. Okay, Broads.
okay, Broads.
Okay, Becca. We're recording this on Monday. It's dropping on Tuesday, but happy International Women's Day to you, my dear, and to all of those women's listening. And to all of those glorious fuckboys in my Instagram timeline who I know are just they're just the posts full of like, oh my God, every day should be Women's Appreciation Day or blah blah blah, and I'm like, you know what?
You shut up. Stop trying to be a simp.
Put it to rest during the pandemic, okay? Just stop. Just give it a rest and let us breathe. But speaking of International Women's Day and women that we love, just a little heads up, on Thursday's episode, we are finally having a conversation, long awaited, with Justine and Natasha from Two Black Girls, One Rose, which...
Yay!
So excited. Love those ladies so much. And in that episode, we're going to dive into recent Bachelor news, aka Chris Harrison interview, all that drama.
Let's find Broads. Also, if there's anything in particular you want us to cover with Justine and Natasha, send in those cues.
Please.
We are going to be recording this tomorrow, but if you can send in any early in the day, we'd love to cover it.
Would love to.
Because, I do know... It's been so heavy. There's been so much heavy stuff to talk about. And I think that's going to be like, we're definitely going to cover that stuff in the episode. And hopefully we can have some fun with it too.
Yeah, we're going to
some laughs with those great women.
Exactly. That's what we were chatting with them, and it was like, we got to cover a couple serious things, but we also want to have a good time because those two make me laugh so hard, and their takes have been so good and so hot this season that I really want to get into it with them. So that will be Thursday. But yeah, I mean, I think that we should just start talking fantasy suites because we all know this is the holy day of Bachelor season.
Okay, girl. So at first with the promos, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, Rachel is not about to pull a Maddie right now and withdraw herself to try to make Matt chase after her. Like, I was like, no. I was already preemptively getting pissed.
I was on the same page as you because all of a sudden everything came flooding back to me like, oh my God, we haven't had the quote unquote like virgin on this season. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, is this going to happen right now? Or are we going to have a full Maddie? Like, is she going to, like you said, remove herself? Even though I think we saw that her pulling the like sad, I don't know if you love me thing worked for Matt because he had to go a chasing. And I think, you know, it really worked for her in this situation.
I have to say thank you, Rachel, for not pulling. I would have been so livid if she was like, I don't know, like maybe I need to go. I would have been so furious. So I have to say I was very pleasantly surprised when she didn't. I really was.
Yeah, well, definitely you and I were texting back and forth and you were like, it's giving me Maddie energy. And I'm like, she's giving me Victoria F energy. But I also feel like the fact of the matter is this, and it hurts my body to say this, but Rachel is a Libra, Victoria F is a Libra, and I am a Libra. And I am very watching the Victoria F like always going to run away and cry and make Peter chase her. And now this Rachel moment where she walks up and is so blatantly like sad and like ask me what's wrong was very horrifying for me to watch because it just reminded me of Jessica, who wasn't in a healthy place in my earlier relationships where I wouldn't communicate that I was upset about something. I would obviously pout until the person had to say like, well, obviously something's wrong. Oh. So I was just like, oh, no. But yeah.
Triggered.
It fully. And I was like, no, it's me. It's me. No. That was why I was just like, I'm watching old Jessica. I didn't like it. But I'm glad she didn't do the full chase me across the grounds of Nemacolin and Matt's just like with his backpack with the sleeping bag from the Bree date, just like running after Rachel, like, don't leave me, baby.
Okay, so I just want to get into it though. Like, what do we think is going to be the situation with What do we think is going to be this situation? Apologies if you guys happen to hear Ruth in the background. I don't know why she's having a rough time tonight. Great was just in there for like 30 minutes with her. She's having a rough time. What do we think is going to happen next week where he's like, I don't think I could do this? Because at first I was like, oh my God, like it's probably something with his mom. Like they're probably doing a bait and switch. Like what I was thinking at the end of this episode, seeing the preview, is I was like, oh, it's probably just going to be like a conversation with his mom that's going to be really intense. And then he's going to say like, you know, oh, I can't do this, whatever. But then when I actually saw the clip of him talking with Chris Harrison on the curb, I was like, no, this has to be something with one of the women, right? Like,
well, I definitely feel like we saw what looks like, I mean, Rachel saying he didn't even want to see me. We see Michelle crying after his mother, God bless, comes like the Grim Reaper of love and is just like, love will never protect you. Like it seems like she scared the shit out of Matt, and Matt is maybe now like panicking, like, I don't know if I'm ready. Maybe Matt doesn't propose to anybody and just dips.
I know his mom is like the Grim Reaper of love. And I feel bad after finding out all this backstory, but I'm like, damn, I can't help but wonder like if his mother, God bless her soul, and I don't know her personal experience, but no judgment. I'm just saying, what if she put, you know, what if she was the one who kind of put this whole fear of getting close to people into him, you know? Like, based on what we've seen in their conversation so far regarding love and relationships, it is very, what would be the word? not pessimistic. What's that word?
I'm not sure.
Like, I just kind of wonder if like a lot of that has to do with the things that she's, you know, the conversations that they've had throughout his life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. As a child of divorced parents, I know that it is extremely, and I can't imagine being in the parental position. But I know it. I mean, it is so intense and important to try to not communicate your specific experience and put that on your child. I don't know. I say this from someone who hasn't experienced it personally. Like, I don't know how you do that, but I definitely have felt the repercussions of that, where you're like, oh God, it's so hard not to let, you know, your parents in maybe conversations that influence, you know, because again, as a parent, you want to communicate with your kid, but at the same time, like, it's, I'm sure, so hard not to communicate without any sort of emotion.
Cynical,
just like
that's the word I was looking for.
Cynical,
like,
yes.
Very cynical view of love.
Understood. Understood. Yes.
Which,
yes.
I said, I'm not saying that with from a place of judgment, because it seems like she's been through a lot. But, yeah, just based on what we heard from her, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah,
I think she's scared. I think she's scared of him, you know, getting in a serious relationship, and scared of her sons getting hurt.
Sure, of course, of course. Also, as you would say, with peace and love, someone went really heavy-handed on that blush, and I just wanted to be like, just come in with a little bit of foundation and be like, girl, why didn't someone say something before you went on camera? You know what I mean? Normally, I don't like to criticize the makeup, because Lord knows, like, not everyone is. Brie and the glam. If that girl is not a professional makeup artist,
someone's
on
hair
the side,
shinier. The only hair I've seen shinier is Rachel's in her apology video on Instagram. That's the only shinier hair I've seen. But Brie, like, her hair, her makeup, her body, everything.
Brie's makeup is unbelievable always. I'm just like, who did she bring a makeup artist with her? Does she have a world famous professional makeup artist like in her room, just like quickly painting
her
her
though? Like the way she has like the perfectly straight lines and like not a hair out of place, like slicked but not greasy, like shiny yet not like, it's just.
Girl, you know, they always make the jokes about like with the Instagram influencers, like, I know you all wanted to know my makeup routine. I want to know, like tell us everything. Like, I just am so like teach all of us, because
her
it
dress,
is just
I'm skipping ahead, but her dress at the brown dress.
Oh my
Shooketh.
Lord. She looked unbelievable during this whole, I mean, what a way to go out though too. Just looking just unbelievable. Just also maybe the most beautiful crier I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, I don't know if you noticed at the end, the breakup, not like her face was perfectly still and just a single tear, like the perfect tear runs down. And I'm like,
mad respect.
I mean, if you see me crying, you will break up with me, even if you're in love with me, you understand? Like,
hideous.
Absolutely atrocious. Absolutely heinous. Okay, but quick question.
What?
I was thinking about this before we dive into this, oh my goodness, intense episode. Have we ever asked what like each other's ideal fantasy suite dates would be? I don't feel like we have.
No.
Obviously, like the ideal, like in this Nemacolin world, they're in the pandemic, they can't travel. But like if you could travel anywhere, if you got into the top 3 and you and the producers are like, Becca, any date you want anywhere in the world, like what is your ideal situation?
I have 2 thoughts that immediately come to mind. One,
Please.
I've always wanted to go to one of those like cabana in the middle of like the blue Caribbean, like, you know, when you see those crazy ones
like
that are
Bora
out on
Bora.
like the floating ones that are like out in the middle of nowhere, just like with the sea. I would want just like a private one of those in the middle of nowhere, where we can just like swim naked in the water, you know, and like
yes,
super romantic like that. The other thought I had was like, what about somewhere like Egypt, where you have like some crazy like an open balcony situation, like overlooking like this crazy, like, I don't know, Nile River type scene with like very like desert and palms, but like white like tulle, you know, hanging from everything, candles, like very kind of like that
sounds magical. Like all the stars are out. You could see every single star.
Yes, and it's just very like luxurious and almost like an Aladdin, like a beautiful like Middle Eastern, like sexy kind of thing. That sounds really cool.
That does sound really cool. I would be so into that. See, that's a really good one. I hadn't. For me, practically, I would be like, take me to the dentist because I just can't do it in real life. So like this would force me to do it. I have so much teeth work I need to get done. It's been in my brain. And I'm like, maybe if I did it on television, like it would actually force me to get all the root canals I need to get root canaled. And then afterwards I could do something fun.
What?
I need people to hold me accountable to go to my dentist appointment. And I feel like the only way at this point that I can do it is legit, because I have such a gigantic fear of the dentist, is to do it publicly and just get it over with. And then also the show would pay for it because, my God, so expensive, the teeth.
I keep rescheduling. Like I keep getting notifications and I just keep rescheduling.
But that's
not
what I'm
because I
saying.
hate it. I like the dentist actually, but it's just such a bother.
I hate the dentist. I'm very scared and I keep rescheduling it. And I'm like, I need to go so badly. I literally feel like a reality TV show is going to be the only way that I'm going to get forced to actually go.
You should just get like half a Xanax. You're going to have an amazing time. Have a cocktail. Have a cocktail before your appointment.
I'm just so scared. Do you know, because I'm so scared, I've gotten laughing gas before.
Yeah.
And one time, our dentist used to be a family friend. And right before mine and Evan's wedding, I had to go in and get like an emergency tooth situation. And he gave me laughing gas. And he was like an elder at our church. And I was so scared that because I was so paranoid thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to get laughing gas and I'm going to tell him that we've had sex before our wedding. And like, you know, none of the church obviously knew that. I'm like, I'm going to say it and he's going to be at the wedding. And I was freaking out about it. So I'm I have so many random paranoia about it.
No, I felt the same way when I got my wisdom teeth removed. I had like the option to undergo laughing gas and I didn't want to. I was horrified. I would tell my mom some like dark secret too. I had this exact same fear.
It's very scary. It's very scary. I'm nervous about like, you know, what part of myself I will reveal. But from a romantic setting, I think I like the energy of people around because I feel like it brings kind of like electricity. And so I always love when they do the dates where they're like in a city and they go from different shops to the
like
local
in Paris,
food.
like for instance. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's just say we're in Paris and we're jumping and getting random food. And then we go to our hotel room that's like the overlooking, like, you know, that classic
yes.
Eiffel Tower with the fireplace, and you eat on the balcony and then you take it to the bedroom. But I like the energy of people.
I feel that. I think I would get too in my head, too nervous if it was just us alone all day. I think I would get very anxious.
Just like dead silence. I would be tripping out the entire time. Like, oh my God, I need to try to be funny. I need to try to be sexy. I would just be so paranoid. Like the laughing gas harkens back to it. Do just a little hit of that beforehand.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I think when I was watching these dates, I kept thinking about how they were like completely like quiet and alone, and how I don't think I would do well with that. I think that I would need like I need people. And props to these ladies who are like dead silence with their man and having to kind of like, let's create a vibe here.
No, these were very boring in my opinion. I was really having a tough time paying attention for a lot of the date portion of these dates. I was just kind of like, all right, let's get to it already.
Totally.
I think it just has to do with the lack of what do you call it? Like lack of connection, I feel, with a lot of the women, where I'm just like, okay, this is, I don't know you.
It's upsetting because it's the same thing that we saw with the Michelle piece, right? Where like we see these behind the scenes things of Michelle where she's super, super funny.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Brie. We all of a sudden got this behind the scenes clip where they're being really funny and cute together. And they're not letting us get to know the people. And speaking of that too, when we dive into this episode, we're not getting to know Matt. And until this episode where we have a conversation that I want to talk about, we really don't know a lot about Matt. And I mean, I guess it's us not having seen him on the show beforehand, like as a contestant on The Bachelorette. Like, so it just feels like, I don't know. I really do wish, like, I know at the top of this season, it was like fun, and it was, I shouldn't say fun, it was entertaining to see all like the psychotic, like Queen Victoria drama.
Sure, whatever.
But now at the end of it, normally these episodes are so electric and you're so excited for the hometowns, for the fantasy suite, for the top two, because you're invested in like who they all are.
Totally.
And they just haven't let us get to know anyone.
I do feel most connected to Michelle out of everyone. I feel like I have actually gotten to know Michelle. Obviously, we haven't seen all her funny moments, but I feel like I have seen a lot of little character development moments in her with her where I feel like I know her a lot better, which I don't follow any of them on Instagram. So
Michelle doesn't post anything at all. So you're not like literally she doesn't post anything. I am so obsessed with her. Nothing on Instagram.
Love it. So right reasons. So I wrote that in my notes. So right reasons.
Right reasons.
But I mean, we don't even know Rachel really either.
No.
Which is so we don't know Rachel or Brie. It's all very unclear like who these people are, I think, aside from Michelle, and like what their motivations are. And even with Rachel, it's been confusing because I feel like I don't want to believe that she's genuine. You know, we haven't liked her from the beginning. It's like, it's not like we're holding a grudge against her, like, for whatever. It's like, we were always kind of like, oh, I don't know about this girl. We were never really like her biggest fans. But, like, I want to feel like I want to believe she's not genuine, but I think she is. But I feel like I haven't seen enough of her or their relationship to understand why it is at where it's at. And so it almost makes it feel a little less genuine because we just don't have any clue what their like motivations are for deepening their relationship with each other. It's all very odd.
No, you're totally right. And I genuinely feel like the only reason that we do feel connected and feel like we've gotten to know Michelle more is I really believe this. I believe she is exceptionally vulnerable. Like,
totally.
I don't agree. I don't even think that we've actually necessarily gotten more airtime from her. I think it's legit. Like, she has really meaningful, in-depth conversations, like, frequently. Even just glimpses of her conversations with Matt during this episode and her interaction with her parents, you're kind of like, she really kind of cuts to the core quickly.
And you can tell, like, what you see is what you get with her, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can just see that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel like I feel like I know her the most, is because I just, you don't get a sense that there's any facade up at all with her. She's got nothing. Well, she's got nothing to hide, and I think that's what's special about Michelle, and I think that's what makes her really good for Matt too.
I love her so much.
Yeah, I do too. She's like, and I think Matt could learn a lot. We're like, we don't know these people at all, and then now I'm about to do a whole character analysis.
Matt could really learn a lot.
No, I think like she could teach. Not that he could learn a lot. I think like she could teach him a lot about that because, Matt, you could tell he is seeking like perfection, and but Michelle is so vulnerably herself, but is without trying so like imperfectly perfect in her own way. And I think that if that Matt could learn something about that, about how if he was a little bit more vulnerable about his feelings, he would be even better.
Oh, 1,000%. Her conversation, we'll get into it in a minute, but when she sat with him and she and he asked her about falling in love and whatever, and she said like, but how to stay in love. I was just like standing up, like,
I knew you'd love that. I liked it too.
Obsessed, because it's just like, oh, very interesting. Not something we've talked about on a show that is all about a rapid feeling. Like,
I know.
It's very easy to fall in love with someone, especially in this situation where everything feels magical and is expedited or microwaved, as Tayshia's father would say, you know. But the fact that like she's already outside of the process and is like, okay, love this, falling in love with you, I'm in love with you, blah, blah, blah. But like, the big thing is, how do you stay in love? And I'm just like, Michelle.
I know, and she didn't mean it to be shady at all, but like it kind of was, and I loved it. Or she was like, she wasn't trying to say it this way, but the way that I was choosing to read into it was like, yeah, all these bitches are like falling in love with you right now, but like, who's gonna make it with you to the end? And, you know, again, I am not, people are going to think that I'm just like holding a grudge against Rachel. It's not about any of that. I really don't see, if they get engaged or if they are still engaged, I just don't see it lasting between them. I don't think that they have I just don't think that they have the kind of connection that has longevity.
I think the energy between them, like we've seen over and over again, is that Matt likes to sweep Rachel off her feet, and she provides that for him. She's very much like, you know, I've never done this. She is also very vulnerable, like very open to expressing how much she feels for him. She's very open to like being like very heart-eyed about him and being very like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you, like that type energy.
Yeah.
And I think he probably like, you know, he likes playing that role to a certain extent. But that, again, like, that's not something that necessarily has longevity versus a Michelle, like you said, who could really, I think they would be very good together, like long term.
Yeah, I don't see Rachel and Matt's just like personalities being compatible. I think that they're maybe like a little bit too similar in certain ways.
Yeah.
That just wouldn't work. Okay, well,
before we get into it, do you want to take a quick pause?
Yes. You read my mind.
Let's take a quick little pause, broads. So here's the thing. Call me crazy, but I really believe that bras can be sexy, stylish, and comfortable as hell all at the same time. Forget the lies of the past that tell you comfy isn't cute and the only way to be sexy is to be squished and shoved into something involving pokey, stiff underwire. You and your boobs deserve better than that. For better bras and underwear, you have to check out Third Love. Third Love is doing things differently, broads.
Oh, they are doing things so differently. Okay, for starters, instead of guessing your size and trying to fit into one of those few sizes offered at most retailers, you're going to get your best fit ever by taking Third Love's fitting room quiz. And this quiz is going to ask you a whole host of questions. All of these questions are going to get you matched with your perfect bra. There's going to be questions about your breast shape, your personal style, what issues you have with your current bras. And then after the quiz is done, you'll have a set of recommendations that Third Love's fit stylists pick out just for you. I've taken the quiz. I've gotten the bras. They're amazing. And Third Love carries 80 sizes, including half cup sizes, which I also love. So trust us when we say there is something for everyone at Third Love.
I pretty much exclusively wear Third Love bras now. Like, that really is the only bra that I will put on my body. They're just that amazing. And I can't wait to get my hands on their newest lounge collection, which, yes, I already know I will be living in 24/7. Available in sizes extra small through 3XL in 100% French terry and woven knits. I mean, is it weird if I make Third Love's Lounge collection my new work from home uniform? I sure hope not, because that's what's going to happen.
Not weird at all. Third Love knows your one true fit is out there. So right now, they're offering our listeners 20% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/chatty right now, and you're going to find your perfect fitting bra. And you're going to get 20% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/chatty. 20% off today.
Well, broads, being that it's currently Women's History Month, I have to just put it out there that women are freaking superheroes, being mothers, running businesses, being quality partners, taking care of who you are. The laundry list of things that women have on their plates is never ending, and taking care of your health shouldn't be another dreaded thing on your to-do list. So let Care of take care of you this spring. You've got enough going on. Okay.
Since I started utilizing Care of's personalized vitamins and mineral packets, that's been over 3 years now, actually. It's been a long time. My health is not only totally optimized, it's also running on autopilot, which I love. Makes my life so easy. And all you have to do is head to takecareof.com, where you're going to start off with an in-depth 5-minute online quiz so that the team at Care of can get to know you a little bit more, and they're going to get to know your personal health goals too. Their approach is really personalized, and it kind of feels like a one-on-one consultation with a nutritionist, but like easier, quicker, cheaper, all of that. The results of the quiz are going to determine what exactly goes into your personalized daily packs, and you can adjust your regimen at any time.
And the coolest part to me, honestly, is the transparency. The world of vitamins and supplements is a shockingly complex and opaque one. But with Care of, you'll get unbelievable access into what their team is recommending for you, the science behind why they're recommending it, and even insight into the specific sourcing of the product. I never feel uneasy taking anything Care of suggests because the information is there in plain sight and so easy to understand.
For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com/chatty50 and enter code chatty50. By the way, they also have protein powder that I love. Side note. Yes. Again, if you want 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com/chatty50 and enter code chatty50. It's unflavored and it's vegan, I think, and it's great.
It's
love it.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so
we have to talk about this conversation with his dad.
Yes,
First of all, as you were telling me before we started recording, we haven't gotten a chance to listen to the full thing yet, but Rachel Lindsay has gone absolutely rogue. Not on Bachelor Happy Hour. She went on, what is it, Bachelor Party?
Bachelor Party. Yeah, Juliet Littman's Bachelor Party.
I think it was
Bachelor
called
Pad?
Is it called
Bachelor Party, I think.
I think it's not Bachelor Pad. That's the Bachelor knockoff show.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? Or not the knockoff, the
Bachelor Party. Yes, Bachelor Party.
Yeah, okay, Bachelor Party. Like a bachelorette party, Bachelor Party. Anyway, but yeah, Jess started listening to the beginning of it because she was basically, going off about like, okay, ABC, we need to talk about how you're perpetuating stereotypes about Black fathers.
Yes. Okay, so obviously, we know that Rachel has been taking a step away from social media. She's taken a step away from Bachelor Happy Hour, giving herself a Bachelor break. And then we saw her post on Instagram while the episode was airing, like, I have to say something. This is too important. I got to talk about this. And thankfully, right before we started recording this, I was able to listen to at least the first 15 minutes. And I'm going to highly recommend it. Bachelor Party, the most recent episode with Rachel. And she is like, I had to break my silence right now because she was so upset and disappointed in ABC continuing to perpetuate the, wow, I can't say that word right now. Perpetuate these stereotypes. And something that she said that was like, oh my goodness. She said she knows for a fact, and she said a fact, like emphasized it twice, that Matt James was not comfortable with this conversation airing. So take that as you may. I'm imagining they've probably had a conversation. And I also took note of the fact that Matt, who's often pretty quiet on social media while the show is airing.
Or waits. Yeah, exactly. Waits to say something.
Yeah, unless it's something that's like causing somewhat of a stir, then he'll acknowledge it. But typically during the episodes, he doesn't say anything like during or early on. And you could tell that these were tweets that definitely seemed like he was prepared to put them out.
Oh, he put them out like immediately, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to read them. He put 3 out. One had a link to it. So the first one was, tonight's convo with my dad was hard to experience, and it's just as hard to watch all this time later, especially knowing the world is watching with me. Next tweet, I just wanted to say that too often we see dangerous stereotypes and negative depictions of Black fathers in media, and they have consequences when presented without context. This is where he added a swipe up link, and the swipe up link is an article that talks about the media portrayals and black male outcomes, media representation and impact on the lives of black men and boys. And it's a really good
that's
article.
So fucked up. If
Yep.
they're if he's like, I don't want this airing, and they're just like, yeah, sorry.
Yep. And then the final quote or the final tweet that he put out was, all I hope is that people watch that conversation with nuance, care, and also an understanding that there are real systemic issues at play. I am so proud of myself for being vulnerable, and I'm so proud of my mother, and I wouldn't be who I am without my dad. That's a fact.
Well, we were texting about it, and I was just like, okay, this is like obviously never the first time anyone has come on the show with this kind of relationship with their dad. This is like a fairly common thing, but this is the first time we've ever seen this conversation on TV, and it does happen to be with the black man. And like, I know that is, you know, obviously what actually happened, but for, like Rachel said, for her to know for a fact that like Matt was not comfortable with that airing, that's just so like, I don't know, just so like, well, ABC kind of just being, or not ABC, you know, production just being kind of like, well, fuck you. Drama, this is the most dramatic thing to actually happen this season, so I guess we're gonna keep it in. It's just not right.
Not right. And you know, there's so many, like Matt said, I hope that we can see the nuance, because on one side it's like, watching it, when I talk about this, I do not want to discount the fact that I don't want to discount Matt's words and how like brave he was to have this really important conversation with his dad. But if production wanted to truly look out for their lead, this would have been off camera. This is not a conversation. But Rachel then brought up in the podcast that she was doing with Juliet such a powerful point, where she hearkened it to, I don't know if, did you watch Oprah's interview with Meghan and Harry?
Oh, I haven't gotten a chance to yet.
An absolute must. And broads, I'm sorry if you haven't watched it, but Rachel hearkens it to, at one point in the interview, Meghan talks about how she decided to, you know, put her trust in the royal family, that they would protect her. And she regrets that because they did not, and they exploited her. And she harkens that to Matt and also herself. She brings up the fact that she's like, I was on the show, I trusted production to protect me, and they put a racist on my season. They exploited me for the drama. And she's like, I'm sure Matt is feeling very similar right now, where, especially again, Matt has never been on this show before. So he probably is having these moments where he feels like very like he's trusting in these people that he's having these interactions with every day, and trusting that, you know, maybe when they're going back and forth and having these conversations where he's like, I feel like I need to have this conversation with my dad, that he feels safe putting it in the hands of production, and then it was exploited.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess this actually isn't the first time we've seen something kind of similar. I kept remembering Dean's conversation with his dad. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How that felt really exploitative. Yeah. But it's so different here because there are so many more added layers. You know, like everyone said, perpetuating stereotypes, which is not right, especially if the lead doesn't feel comfortable with that. But obviously, as we've seen, I don't know why anyone thinks, I mean, there's like no doubt in my mind anymore that production does not have the interest, the lead's best interest in mind. And they don't care about protecting the lead, no matter who they are. It just seems like we've kind of seen that time and time again, you know?
Yeah. And one of the quotes that I took, again, I didn't listen to the whole thing because you and I had to hop on the recording, but one of the quotes that Rachel said is, they don't know how to protect people of color. They only know how to exploit them. Yeah. And in this pledge for diversity, she's like, it's extremely disappointing that this is what we're seeing. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, and I will say though, well, you know, I was going to say, do they care at all about protecting any cast members? Like, I don't say that in an all lives matter way. I don't mean it like that. But like, as I was kind of saying last week, I don't remember if it was to you on camera or off camera, but I don't know if reality TV can ever be ethical. Like, reality TV by nature is extremely exploitative and emotionally abusive in a way. But it is crazy to see that there is, for these Black people going on the show, that there's a different level of, or layer of exploitativeness where it's like, okay, we're going to exploit you. I don't know, on just like an added level. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, just it's constant trauma that's being just put on display. It's just like, here's trauma that this person is dealing with for everyone to see.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, do they ever try to protect cast members? And then I was thinking, like, well, like, Chris Harrison went out of his way to try to protect Rachel Kirkconnell.
Yep.
You know, it's like, ooh.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just like, the one thing that I will say, and I am happy for Matt. I'm not going to be like, yes, production, but I am happy for Matt that being in this extreme circumstance, being on The Bachelor, did make this conversation happen.
Yeah,
and that I am, it's pretty incredible. Like, who knows how many more years it might have taken for this situation to happen, for them to get in a room and just speak hard truths to each other. So I will say I found that kind of amazing. Like, that I'm like, wow, this trash season, if it was worth anything, at least it was worth Matt. Matt being, just on a completely separate note. I'm not saying that justifies it being aired, but I was just happy for Matt and his dad that they could have those moments together.
1000%. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm not trying to like discount this very like necessary conversation that he had with his father. I mean, you know, I would imagine, like, again, not to justify by any means the exploitation, but I'm sure that it was impactful for a lot of people watching who do have family members that they're not currently connected with because of, past trauma that they've had with them. I was watching this, and obviously, like, it's an extremely different situation for me, but I was like remembering memories from, when my parents first got divorced, and one of my parents I didn't speak to for numerous years, and that having that first conversation is so intense, and it's I'm sure that it was impactful for a lot of people, and I don't know, just sending all the love to him, because he really seems like an amazing human being. And I know that there's certain actions that have happened where people are like disappointed with him, whatever. I think he seems like a wonderful person, and I just hope all the best for him. And I hope that, I hope he finds love, or has found love, or whatever that may look like, because he just seems like a wonderful person.
My hair is driving me nuts right now. Sorry for people watching on YouTube. It's like my bangs are getting in my face. I'm losing my goddamn mind. I completely agree, though. Like, I have to say, we've talked about how he's had a hard time being vulnerable, but as you said earlier, it was very brave and bold of him to say the truths that he did out loud to his father. Like, and there were some moments, where his dad said, I was like, oh my God, where, he was like, oh, you didn't get that time with me? Like, I didn't get that time with my dad. And I was like, that's not what we're talking about right now, sir. Like, we're talking about your relationship with your son and like your responsibility to him. And Matt did not back down. He was like, no, like, I needed you and you hurt me. Like, I don't know what your experience was. Oh no, he was, there was a lot of bombs dropped in this conversation. I God, I feel bad for Matt that he did not want. That's horrible that he did not want this aired, and it was aired. So private, so personal, so intimate, and you can't say like the Meghan Markle thing that he knew what he was getting into. You can't say that because no one knows what they're getting into until they're in it. Like I can speak from experience on this. You do not know what you're getting into. You do not know what it's like,
and you hope and you trust that the people that you feel like you can trust right now are going to handle it in a delicate manner. And
your guard is down, in the most dramatic way.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any of that bullshit of like he knew what he was getting into when he allowed us out on the show. There is so much like, manipulation and smooth talking and like this is gonna be beautiful for America. Like there's all so I don't really want to hear any of that. How did you feel when he said, if I wanted to celebrate, I'd go to Chuck E. Cheese? I was like, don't bring Charles into this.
Do not bring Charles Entertainment Cheese into this. Okay. No, that was the one moment the fact of the matter is that I was crying and I had a lot of feelings because number one, I had a pit in my stomach because I was like, this feels not right now. And so I was processing that.
Real. Yeah.
This is just like, it's so intense. I feel like I shouldn't be part of this conversation right now. And then I was crying because he was like, there was so much emotion. And then he brought up Chuck E. Cheese and it did bring me out of the moment for a second. And I was just like, did you say Chuck E. Cheese? Because that sounds pretty good. That a slice of that za sounds pretty good to me right now.
The line where he was like, oh, I did know what it's like, Dad, because I experienced it too. He said some shit that had me shooketh.
Yeah, it was so raw, and it was so, like I said, I'm really not, I was not surprised when I heard Rachel Lindsay say he was not comfortable with this being aired because you could, it was just like when you were watching it, you're like, we've seen Matt James during this season, and this feels like something that like a conversation he needed to have, that yes, the cameras happened to be there, but it's like he forgot about the cameras in that moment.
Oh my God, yes.
And he was so in it with his father, and yeah. Oh.
Well, and I imagine you also probably feel extremely protective. Doesn't matter like what a piece of shit your dad was or wasn't, like you feel protective over that person. You don't want them looking like a fool or a bad person on national television.
And like he said, it's like he wouldn't be who he was without his father in those tweets. So, anywho, I highly recommend. I'm going to, as soon as we're done recording this, I'm going to finish up that bachelor party interview.
Yeah, listen to it too.
And thank you for Rachel for coming out of hiatus for a moment to share her thoughts with us. But yeah.
I was going to say though, like it really was, okay, I got to say it was beautiful because you were seeing a very real raw conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's the silver lining in all of this. Again, I'm not justifying. I'm just like, at least this is like the good, this is the positive
No, it's
side
like,
of
it's
it.
like what Matt was saying.
You know what I'm saying?
In his tweet, he said it's nuanced because I think exactly what you're saying. Like this was exploitive and this was perpetuating stereotypes and he was not comfortable. But then the nuance piece, I would imagine, is the fact that this was a conversation that probably is going to affect him for the rest of his life, and other people are seeing it. It's probably going to affect them too.
I was reading his comment, nuanced, having to do with his dad's experience, like in America, as like an African man. That's kind of what I thought he was. I don't really know though.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure either.
But what I was saying is the amazing thing is like what I really loved is I loved seeing that these two people who cared about each other like went at it and like said harsh truths, but they both were honest and they both said things that were difficult to hear. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing to see that and then see like this is all that I want for like everyone is to be able to see that like when you go there with the people in your life in the people in your life that matter, there can be like light at the end of the tunnel and it's like better than ever. Like with your parents, when you can like be radically honest, like or your friends or your partner, like look at the healing that can come. Like, like Matt said, this isn't just like a one and done event, but to see them hug, to see them joke and smile and laugh and and feel safer.
Yeah,
even
to say
just
I
a little
love
bit
you.
with each other.
Yeah, to talk about that they're proud, like that he's proud of him, and for him to hear that is
Beautiful.
Yeah, I completely, and it's so.
And for
no,
Matt
it's-
to say, I forgive you, and for his
Yes.
dad to hear what I believe his dad so badly needed to hear, which was like, I still love you, Dad, and I want you a part of my life. And oh my God, he said, there's still a lot of life for both of us to live. And I forgive you, and I want you in my life and my kids' lives. It was like his dad needed to hear that so bad.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful to see that and know that there was a little bit of healing for both of them in that moment.
Mm-hmm,
So I have to say, that was beautiful. And I hope people can see that part of it. Rather than making judgments and seeing his dad as a piece of shit or whatever. I mean, it's like, life is complicated.
Yeah, no, totally.
I just have one question, and it's how the fuck did Matt get so tall? His dad is like a foot shorter than him.
He is so tall. His mom, I think, is pretty tall. If I remember correctly, she is very tall.
Taller than his dad?
I don't know, but I think
We love that.
I feel like
he was towering above his father.
Towering. I remember. I feel maybe I'm just like thinking of every time I think of his mom.
She is very like thin and long.
She's like a willow tree a little bit to me, but I also picture Celine Dion whenever I think of his mother, and Celine Dion just
100%.
seems so tall to me. So maybe I'm just mixing them up. But I
Do you
feel
think
like
it's
his
just
mother
their
is
longer
tall.
faces? Do you think that their longer faces, like you assume they're tall?
Potentially, yes. Potentially, yes. I go,
Because
if your face is
I'm
long.
about to look up Celine Dion's height right now.
I'm sure she's small. Everyone's small who's famous. Everyone's like 5 foot who's famous.
She's 5'7". That's like the most
That's-
normal height ever.
That's like, that is tall for a celebrity, actually. It's very tall for a celebrity.
True. Cher's 5'9". Mariah Carey's 5'8".
Wow, Mariah Carey's 5'8". I've always pictured Mariah Carey being very like short. I don't know
Andre
why.
Bocelli's 6'2". I pictured Mariah Carey being like 5 foot. Flat,
I pictured
like
Andre Bocelli also being like 5'4". Like I pictured him being very small.
Andre Bocelli's 6'2". He's a big man. We'll
Well-
see how tall his mom is. We'll compare next week.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them standing next to each other so that we can analyze this. But should we talk about Michelle's one-on-one fantasy suite moment?
Yes.
I want to say, first of all, your girl was very nervous when Matt showed up without a turtleneck on. I was starting to sweat. I was like, if Michelle goes
shit,
home,
your theory.
I'm going to freak. But he ended up wearing a turtleneck later that evening. So I was like, okay, I
shit.
guess,
But the pattern is still not broken.
I don't think the pattern is broken yet. Now, he also was wearing a turtleneck in part of the Brie date, though. So it's not like it's foolproof. It's not like always,
Okay.
Not
Not a hard rule.
Yeah, so it's getting
This
a little
isn't hard
sketchy.
science.
But okay, so they talk about how they're going to have this traditional Pennsylvania Dutch spa, and I do want to say that when they walked into that room, I immediately was like, my first instinct was I was like, oh wow, this is romantic. And then my second thought was like, this looks like a kind of a scene from like one of the Saw movies. And I feel like when I started to notice that there was butter that they were putting on each other, milk bath, oatmeal to stick their feet in, it was all food products. I was legit picturing like it was like a giant who like Hansel and Gretel'd this and was like getting them all buttered up before devouring them.
I immediately was expecting, I was like, where's the Pennsylvania Dutch shaman that's going to emerge from like a closet?
Oh, okay. You're like,
That's what I was waiting for.
what sort of
Where's
Dutch
the white lady
medicine?
with the stones? Like, what's about, where's the white woman going to come around, wave sage around them?
Okay. No, that makes sense too. No, I was in full, like, there is a giant who is letting them roll themselves in butter and dipping their feet in oatmeal because that fucking fireplace looked like a huge pizza oven. Okay. And I was like, this is a Hansel and Gretel moment. They think they're being romantic and then they're going to get put somewhere. It was very scary to me.
I was kind of obsessed with it because there was no stupid local to interact with. Like, I kind of loved that it was just the two of them. That already made the date much better.
It's very
and
true.
I was feeling it. Although I have to say, Matt and I are on the same page, it seems like, when it comes to food play. The man was gagging throughout the entire date. Like, he could barely contain himself. Like,
he is not
like,
a
it
Pete.
could have been such a sexy moment. And then when they're rubbing each other in butter, he was just like,
Dude, think about rubbing each other in butter.
That's pretty vile. I'm sorry.
That's so
not. I love butter.
I love butter, but rubbing Evan in butter and then like
Olive oil?
making out.
Yes.
Olive oil, very different. Butter, like you can smell butter. Is the salted butter? Is it unsalted butter? It
It's
does
milky,
have a very.
like it's.
It starts to like curdle and harden on you too. Like it's not gonna like it's gonna be crunchy.
That's
no, he was
freaking
not.
gross.
He was not a Peter. He did not live for food play. Remember all the food play with Peter?
No, dude, no. What do you mean, do I remember? I will never get the scene out of my head of him and Maddie taking bites out of their fucking German or Dutch hot dogs or whatever the fuck and immediately sticking their tongues in each other's mouth. That was the most repulsive shit I've ever seen. And I will never forget it.
It was so horrifying. Matt is not one for food play, and I don't think Michelle is either because I think she was trying to keep up a good attitude, but when they were squishing their feet in the oatmeal, they were like, this sounds so weird, but like it smells okay. And then he tasted the milk bath, which, you know, I feel like typically a milk bath isn't actually milk. It's like, it's just... But it did look really pretty, but it also gave me mega horror movie vibes. Like, again, watching too many horror movies lately, but I was feeling very uncomfy when I started to really examine the room with all the taxidermy that was in the room. Also very ominous. Like, why do you need a spa with like all this bear taxidermy around?
I don't know.
You know?
I don't really get that either.
It felt very intimidating.
I mean, they looked amazing, all like slithery, shiny in the butter.
They did.
I was like, okay, gods.
They are very beautiful together.
I feel like they're like a fit goals couple. Like I can see them like I can see them like really being up in the morning. Like they're like, okay, 6 a.m. Like let's go. Their kids are all in like matching tracksuits.
Oh, I picture them. I picture Evan and I like living across the hall from them in like a high-rise apartment, and me like coming out in the morning like hungover and in my robe with makeup under my eyes from being out too late, and seeing Matt and Michelle up at like 6 a.m. gorgeous in their like Lululemon going out to run, just beautiful.
No, they're like the type where they'd be on their Pelotons next to each other, and they're just like. And they like look at over each other and they like give a quick peck. They like
kiss. And I'm just like, I just slam the door after seeing them running in the hall. And I'm just like, Evan, fucking Matt and Michelle are just looking beautiful at 6 fucking a.m. in the morning again. And then he's just like,
they're
stop,
the ones.
I'm too hungover. It's too loud.
They're the ones who are like, you're staying at a hotel and they're doing like, it's snowing outside, you know, you're like at a hotel in like Switzerland or something going skiing. And they're doing like sprints up and down the hallway when you go to grab your like breakfast tray at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Right
and
outside your door. And you like emerge and you're like, disgusting.
Like, give me another baguette and bring extra butter this time. No, they're outside.
Fuck is my croissant and fruit cup bowl? I said a grapefruit juice, not orange juice. You're just berating the kitchen staff. Meanwhile, they're standing there with timers, timing each other out in the hallway.
They're timing each other. They're doing the plunge into the cold and the plunge into like the super hot, just because they're rolling best for their body
before running back into their room to take a hot bath.
They're like, this is good for our insides. This is what our insides need. And I'm just like, give me another croissant.
Wait,
give me
who
a
didn't
cigarette.
do that?
I was smoking at 7 a.m. with a croissant on my 15th cappuccino, and I've been awake for 1 hour.
Wait, who did he do the ice bath challenge with? Do you remember? Was it Brie?
I think so. Wait, did he do an ice bath? Yeah. That was Brie, I think.
Let's just say it's too bad it wasn't with Michelle, because they'd just both be sitting there like, regulate your breathing. Breathe out. I just love this idea of them as like a super crazy workout couple.
Yeah, no, they actually would be
Health
like
goals.
the most adorable in that way. The most adorable.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, they have the beautiful conversation afterwards about staying in love.
Yeah.
And then the night portion of the dinner, I will make note that it looked like the dinner that they entered into like a hydrangea exhibit. Did you notice this? Hydrangeas everywhere. The painting was like some strange hydrangea abstract. It looked like they chose weird choices from the hotel with the uplighting, and it was just like, no, this is not the vibe. Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It wasn't for me. But they're very, very sweet together. They really are. And he feels like clearly he can open up to her about things, and she makes it very, very safe.
Yes.
And talks about his dad, which he ends up talking about in every episode, or not every episode, excuse me, every date.
He just won't shut up about his goddamn dad. He's been talking about it every episode.
It's like so clear that he's processing this like as it's like in real time. It's like this just happened, and now he's going on these dates, and it's just like processing.
And right after
outwardly.
hometowns too. Like that's such like, especially with Michelle being the first date, like they were talking about, it's a really big like contrast in terms of her parents' dynamic and his.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's gonna make him feel really safe. And to be honest, I still really think it's going to be Rachel, but like all roads kind of seem to lead to Michelle right now.
I know. I'm really hoping.
Me too.
But
And if not, I really hope that she's the bachelorette. That'd be cool.
me too.
I really would like her.
She's fantastic.
We've talked about this a million times, though. Okay, so
so then they get the letter, the fantasy suite letter, which from Chris Harrison, which by the way, now the fantasy suite letter has taken on a whole new role to me after finding out that that Chris Harrison writes erotica.
Ew.
Now, like the handwritten letter with an actual key in it with like parchment paper just feels like some weird part of like an erotic fantasy that he is like writing down in one of his many books, which I'm sure he's like currently writing another one.
Ew, I don't like that.
Sorry to put that in your brain, but it was stuck in mine the whole time, so now it has to be in yours.
Ew, can you imagine Chris Harrison having sex?
No, I can't, no. I refuse.
Really thinking about it now. Okay, so yeah, I mean, they're down to spend the night with each other.
They're down to spend the night with each other. She tells him that she loves him. He does not reciprocate. He just passionately kisses her.
Yeah, he doesn't reciprocate anything with anyone this episode.
No, but he did
verbally.
He has verbally told Rachel in the fifth episode that he is falling for her, and then he did say again to her something about like falling in love with her in this episode at some point.
In this episode? Really?
Yeah, it was kind of I don't want to say throwaway line, but it was a little bit like a side. He made kind of like when he was trying to calm her down, basically later, he was like, he said something like, I've been falling in love with you and blah, blah, blah. So he reiterates that for her. But that's
okay. Got it.
all that we get. And then they're kissing passionately. I mean, and she gets him.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Michelle gets Matt night one, which is going to be the most Randy of Matt's, I'm assuming, because he has been
Randy.
All sorts of pent up, and I would definitely want the first night because
you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. But it's just like the idea of being able to get someone when they've been pent up for many weeks and ready to have sex, I am sure.
Yeah.
That would be my hopes and dreams would be to get the first go around.
Totes.
Which clearly Rachel is also feeling, because Rachel we're seeing begin to spiral.
Yeah, and I was cracking up when Michelle came home from her date and she's like, yeah, we were rubbing each other in butter. It was so silly, you know, and Rachel's like.
Rachel is just, she can't even look at her. She's just like, just losing it, slowly losing it. Which, okay, also, I do have to say, before we talk then about all of them, Michelle and Matt, the goodbye scene, my frigid heart melted when he shouted at her from the balcony and was just like, Michelle, and like blew her a kiss. And she had this huge smile. And I was like, oh, okay.
Bro, I am not going to understand if he picks Rachel.
I know.
I mean, but I guess as I have said before, a lot of times they set us up for heartbreak when the character, you know, they invest us to break our hearts so that we care about Michelle's journey, you know.
The reason I think it's Rachel is the pattern that you have called out so often. That is what you think, like it's always not the one that you think it's going to be. It's the one that doesn't necessarily have the quote unquote bachelor or bachelorette edit. Where you're getting to know them more and it seems like really locked in, like they're farther along in their relationship. And it just feels so for sure with Michelle that it makes me nervous. But that balcony moment, I was just like, all right, my little heart is aflame. My skeptical heart right now is aflame.
Cute. I mean, maybe the only reason why I think he picks Rachel so much is because I feel like, why else would Chris be defending her, Chris Harrison? And I guess the only other reason I can think is maybe if they wanted her bachelorette. So like, I'm fingers crossed that he picks Michelle.
Yeah, true.
But I still think it's Rachel.
Well, before we get into the next date, you want to take a quick little pause again?
Yes.
Broads, so I can pretty vividly remember the day that I found out just how harmful conventional deodorant was for the body. Like the fact that we clog our pores with aluminum just to smell better. That's going to be a no thanks. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do want to smell fresh as a daisy, but I'll take a pass on the harsh chemicals in my body, which is why I am a native deodorant loyalist. All the fresh scent, none of the harsh chemicals and metals.
And Native actually goes one step further than that because they make their deodorant with ingredients that you already know, like coconut oil and shea butter. And if you're a bit skeptical about making the switch to natural deodorant because you've heard horror stories about the midday stink or natural deodorants that just don't work at all, I hear you. But trust, you'll not be feeling that way if you switch to Native. It keeps you smelling your best all day long.
Native has 10 amazing scents for you to choose from, like coconut and vanilla, lavender and rose, or the one I'm wearing today, citrus and herbal musk. It smells so good. Plus a ton of fun rotating seasonal scents. Native already has 16,000 5-star reviews, and there's a good reason for that because it really works. It doesn't matter if I'm having a movie marathon on the couch or hitting up that virtual workout class. I am always smelling great thanks to Native.
Make the switch to Native today by going to nativedeo.com/chatty or use promo code chatty at checkout and you're going to get 20% off your first order. That's nativedeo.com/chatty or use promo code chatty at checkout for 20% off your first order.
Well, Broads, when it comes to personal space, especially when many of us are spending most all of our days in that space all day, every day, having the right vibe is important. And given the amount of time we are all spending in our homes these days, you might as well make it the space of your dreams. And Jenny Kane can make that happen. It truly is a haven for all things beautiful, for real, including home decor needs, whether that's simple accent pieces or furniture that centers an entire room. Jenny Kane has pieces for all corners of your house.
And there's a really good chance you're already familiar with Jenny Kane because of their fabulous closet staples. But if you like their timeless everyday luxury clothing, you're going to love their timeless luxury home pieces. Like everything from Jenny Kane, the materials are really the star of the show. Their furniture is Pacific Northwest handcrafted using natural reclaimed wood and leathers, and the home textiles feature neutral linens, cashmere, and even ultra soft alpaca. Oh my God, every single piece is purposely done, and it's something you'll have for years to come. The quality is absolutely fantastic.
I actually have one of the cashmere blankets, and oh my God, trust me when I say it is a fight to get off of my couch when I'm wrapped in this. It's literally the softest, most beautiful blanket I own, and I can't wait to continue adding Jenny Kane pieces throughout my home for those everyday moments of luxury.
Find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. Get 15% off your first order too when you use code chatty at checkout. And for a limited time, that also includes furniture. That's 15% off your first order at JENNIKAYNE.com. Promo code chatty. Jenny with an I, Kane with a KAYNE. Jenny Kane. Boom.
All right, well, back at the house, Rachel says that she is legitimately nauseous thinking about him in bed with someone else. And that's when I was like, oh, Lord, you're right. It's the Maddie vibes. I'm like, uh-oh.
Here
it's
we
gonna
go.
happen. She's going to tell him to break up with everyone or else she's leaving. But it's not her turn next. It is Bree's turn. And Bree's also not feeling too great, but she says she's also excited to see him, but she's feeling frustrated with this process. So Bree's date, let me tell you about Bree's date, okay? When initially, the second that Matt said, we're going to be hiking, and he pointed out the bad backpacks. But of course, you first look at the sleeping bags and you're like, if they're going to put this woman...
Oh my God, yeah, in a tent, yeah.
If they are going to put this woman and basically put her in a Becca K situation...
Oh yeah, never forget.
Times 5, because it'll be like in the frigid woods of Nemacolin. Like, I will lose it. Because as she says... She's like, why do I keep getting these damn outdoor dates? Like, I am not an outdoorsy person. It's like if Becca, it's like if every time if I was on the show and every date they gave me was an outdoor date, you would be laughing your ass off. It'd be like, Jessica.
I love it.
It's like if they gave me every time they give me an outdoor date or like an active date. Like, we're going to all jog together outside.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. I could only pray if you were on the show to just see that the entire time.
It's just always athletic gear and outside. And I would just be like, if you don't put me inside with a glass of champagne and a nice heel.
I just see you fixing your sunglasses being like.
I don't know why. I just picture.
I'm sensitive to the sun. Can't see. Yeah.
My contacts. I don't have my specialty contacts in. And
you have
I just,
like a massive visor on. You're just like.
I just love always picturing myself hungover and smoking a cigarette in these situations, and Matt's just
in
like
a visor. Like, I love you having like a little like fluffy pixie cut like you do, but with like this big ass visor. But I just see you out there being like, I do not have enough money for Botox to fix like the wrinkles I'm gonna get from these UV rays, just like with 15 inches off your face.
I'm like, unless you sons of bitches are gonna pay for the maintenance afterwards of the damage that's happening to my face right now, I have to wear sunglasses and I need this gigantic ass hat, okay? Does anyone have a lighter?
This is part of my 17-step, like, never mind, I can't think of what it's called.
This is part, and then they're like, excuse me, miss, you need to put your cigarette out. And I'm just like, I don't smoke. It's part of my aesthetic, okay? I'm going to need this. It's what I'm trying to, it's the
I
vibe.
do not inhale. You think I actually put this disgusting thing in my body?
Please. Are you kidding me?
It's the intimidation factor. And then you try to ash it on them.
I am going for a Cruella de Vil look, and if you are not here for it, and then they're like, please don't flick this, we're in the woods, there's brush fires that could happen. And I'm just like, well, then don't put me on a damn camping date, okay?
I love this idea of you being like this crazy diva on the show. Or what if it was like Moira, from Schitt's Creek status, where you're like, you have sunglasses on and you're like, it's a prop, sweetie. Like, I thought, like, you should know showbiz, and like flick it at the person.
That's showbiz,
it's
baby.
It's a fake cigarette.
It's bubble gum. I just take a bite of it. Joke's on you, bitch.
All part of the show. I love that. Ooh, I like that. That's my favorite version. You are just bringing props with you on every date, like being like, this is part of my shtick.
I'm like, excuse me, I ordered a Greyhound. No, I ordered a Great Dane for this scene. I need a Great Dane with a studded collar and a faux fur leash. Where is Leroy, my Great Dane?
Everyone's just like, man,
I need him to be exceptionally tall, okay? It's all part of the aesthetic. I'm trying to paint a picture with these narratives.
I wish that we had that added layer for Queen Victoria. That would have really improved her character.
I feel like we needed a few. It was that scene where she was sitting outside where we were saying she's like the drunk girl who needs to be smoking a cigarette or has a jewel outside of the club. Like she needed that to really complete what was happening.
Yes, the jewel. Yes, 100%. Okay, back to Brie. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was just sitting there with my eyes glazing over pretty much until the night portion of their date. Did anything really happen?
Yeah, I was a little in and out. I mean, there was a lot of, there were some innuendos that were happening. Like, I definitely feel like they have good sexual chemistry. Like,
Apparently so. Brie went out of her way. Well, we'll get there.
But before that even, there were these sexual innuendos where he was like, yeah, I've pitched a lot of tents before. And I was like, hey, okay, we hear it. And she's giggling. I mean, there was really, they did have a conversation where he talked about her family, and he was really touched, I think, and overwhelmed by how loving her family was when he walked in and everyone started crying. And I think he was talking about that was a little intimidating for him, but not in a bad way, and just like a way that was very overwhelming and beautiful. And they had a good conversation about that and his family. But other than that, they were just flirty and playful. And all I was thinking about the entire time was, again, being out in the elements and how it must be so cold, and how, when your nose gets freezing and you're trying to talk to somebody and all you can think about is hoping that your nose doesn't keep dripping because it's so cold. And so that's
horrible.
That's the only thing I could think about during the date, was just like, this poor thing is looking so glamorous and gorgeous. And she's probably just thinking this whole time, like, my nose is about to drip down my face. My nose is about to drip down my face, but trying to be present, and like what she would give to be in the middle of a spa date instead, rubbing butter.
Right? I mean, even if it's gross.
Or a pottery date, you're inside. You've already done all your glam, your hair, you're looking great. You're like, can I just be inside? At least give him another hot
tub, like, or do a sauna in the woods. Come on.
Something. But the hiking with the stick and the threat of snakes, horrifying. Well, then they had dinner, and again, I was just very thrown off. This whole, normally I don't notice the surroundings. I'm not great about that, but I think it was because this episode felt slow to me that I was just picking up on all the different surroundings. Yeah. And their dinner
let's be real. The entire season has been slow for us.
It's true. Well, all I was thinking about during this was the fact that it looked like they were eating at a Claim Jumper, because they had those elk chandelier those elk horn chandeliers, and I was like, this looks either like the bar in Beauty and the Beast with like LeFou swinging from these chandeliers, or we're at Claim Jumper and I'm ordering the mother lode cake for like $25.
Damn, that sounds bomb right now.
Does that sound
I love that. Yeah, that sounds really good.
Girl, Claim Jumper provided. Like, you get a lot of food for not a small price, but like it's a medium price, and you get a shit ton of food.
Is Claim Jumper like on par with like Outback Steakhouse?
In my humble opinion, Claim Jumper exceeds the quality of Outback, but is a similar price. It's a better dining experience, and you also get more food. I do love bloomin' onion.
I've ever eaten at Claim Jumper.
My dad was a manager when I was growing up until I was maybe like 6 years old at a Claim Jumper. So I grew up in the Claim Jumper, running around.
I was going to say, you are part of the Claim Jumper community and
Yes.
you're an advocate, and I'm glad you're speaking out about this.
I would like to talk about their California quesadilla. I would like to talk about their bread bowls. I would like to talk about their rotisserie chicken. Their salad bar is to die for. Bring them back.
You don't only get iceberg, you get romaine, guys, too. I'm telling you, this is quality. This is a luxury experience. And did I tell you the price? Amazing. Do you have a code you'd like to share with us for like a free appetizer?
I'm going to be contacting them for a free appetizer code. And I would like to tell you, take advantage of their croutons at the salad bar. They are top notch. They are illustrious. They are thick. Okay?
And what was that cake again? Mention that again, Jess?
The motherload cake. The motherload cake, the slice is like the size of half of your body.
Is that why it's like $25? Is like a birthday fun thing?
Yes, it is a huge piece of cake. It is chocolate, gigantic. The motherload, walnuts on top. Frosting is to 10 out of 10. And when you're waiting at the claim jumper, they have a popcorn machine so you can fill up a little basket of popcorn while you wait.
That I love. When I go to car dealerships or like anywhere that has a fucking, I'm trying to think about, I can't think of anywhere else than a car dealership besides a movie theater that has a free popcorn. I mean, it's not free at the movie theater. Any place that has a free popcorn machine, I'm sold. I'm there. I will be there every weekend. Free popcorn while you wait.
And let me explain to you, the popcorn is buttery and salty. It is a 10 out of 10 popcorn. It's
not just that dry,
unflavorful.
300% sodium.
No, that popcorn, you eat it and you're swollen for 3 weeks afterwards. There is so much sodium in it. It is fantastic.
Bitch, I'm about to head to Claim Jumper. I'm looking at my maps right now, bitch. What? Uber Eats? Claim Jumper? Honey. Wow, the closest one is 11 miles away in Buena Park. That's fucking, I'm never going to Claim Jumper. You think I'm going to drive 23 minutes to go get a fucking motherload cake? You're wrong. But, maybe one day our paths will cross. Anyway.
Look, they ate it. They found a local Claim Jumper in Nemacolin, and that's where they were eating. And that's when he talks with Bree about the conversation with his dad, and she gets really emotional because she's had a similar situation with her father. She's talking about here. I think hearing Matt talk about his conversation was maybe almost encouraging for her to potentially have that conversation. That's at least how it came off to me. Like she was maybe processing having that conversation.
Yeah. I was really shocked. That part of the conversation was really nice. I was really shocked that she, after last week went in for, I'm really falling in love with you. I was like, okay, damn girl, confident, because after last week I would be shattered in a million pieces and I would never be able to pick up the pieces. But she went out there. She said she's fallen in love with you. He still didn't say shit back, but she went for it. It seemed to go well from there on. I mean, talk about innuendos. So after their cute little night portion of the date.
Which, by the way, did you notice when they first opened the door to the night portion of their date, that plant, did it look to you like hay? Because for a moment, I'm like, no. They're not going to force these people into like a barnyard fantasy and have hay everywhere.
Well, I felt like I did not notice the hay. That sounds scary, though. I don't like that.
It wasn't obviously the hay, but it looked like for a moment I was just like, if they're going to do this to my girl Brie, like, come on, like they're already making her hike and now they're going to make her live like she's like in a Heidi situation, like in a loft filled with hay.
You just unlocked so many memories when you said that. Holy shit. Surely
the little upper loft and the little upper loft in her grandpapa's chalet in the Alps.
Fucking movie, like getting kidnapped and like that was all very odd.
As a Swiss person, that was the only thing I was allowed to read as a child. And my mom's name was almost Heidi. My grandmother almost named her Heidi. It was like the only
Heidi's
thing.
A sick name.
I think that was the only thing that they read in Switzerland was the Heidi book and also Struppelpeter, which is a horrifying children's book. Anyways.
Okay, that sounds like the Babadook or some shit. Okay.
Yeah, it feels that way.
I just noticed that their room was really tiny, and I was like, you guys are like, it's literally so small that someone's sitting, like she has to sit on his lap because there's nowhere for her to sit.
It's true, right? I didn't think about that. That's why she's sitting on his lap. It's not even being cute. It's like, I don't have anywhere else to sit.
Camera crew's got to get in here, shuffle around the bed.
As they pop the champagne, it's like, how did the camera crew fit in there? It was so tiny.
It was tight. It was like a cruise ship. I don't know what the situation was.
They looked like they had a good night. And it seemed that way.
She was like, last night was everything and a little bit more. I was like,
yeah, and they were like smirking and winking at each other. And I was like, okay. So it seemed like I had a feeling after Bree's date, I was like, maybe Rachel's going home. Maybe Rachel's going home and we've gotten this wrong the whole time. Because they both seem to have really good chemistry on these dates.
I think Matt kind of had the ick for Bree.
For real?
The tiniest bit. Not like the full-on ick.
But it was like a little bit in the back of his head.
There was something about it. There's something about it. Like, I don't know what it was, but the next morning when she was kind of like making those innuendos and stuff, it kind of felt like the tiniest bit, like the tiniest percentage. It felt like when a girl like spends the night at a guy's house and in the morning was like, so you want to get breakfast? And he's kind of like, no.
No, thank you. Yeah. Okay,
like,
no, I hear you.
I had a really good night, but like, can I walk you out?
He's already asking her. He's like, can I walk you out? You're just like, oh, no.
Like, I don't know. It, like, not very strong, that vibe, but just kind of like.
But ever so slightly, there was that in the back of your head where it was a little bit like, okay.
Where he's kind of just like, where he's like, I know who's going home tomorrow. Like.
Okay. Do you think he knew in that moment? Unless his date with Rachel would have gone like really differently.
I feel like he knew last week. I feel like Bree was going home if Serena didn't send herself home.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. You're right. I forgot. Yeah, you're
I think
probably
like Bree wasn't really meant to go to Fantasy Suites, but he was kind of like, well, I like her. Like, I'm not going to send her home. But then now he's kind of like, okay, it's time for you to go home.
Yeah.
Not like he actively doesn't like her.
No.
To me, kind of an era of like, this ship has run its course.
Yeah, like I'm gonna try this one last time. Like we'll see. Maybe if we connect intimately, there'll be that special spark there that like changes how I feel in comparison to the other women. But I hear you. No, I hear you. Well, he sends her off, and I don't know if you noticed this, but he says goodbye to Bree. She's, in her outfit, looking gorge. He is you see him, it goes from his feet up. He is in slippers, his Lululemon sweats, and his suit jacket from like the night before. And it kind of looked a little big on him when he was wearing his sweats. And it was the most, quote unquote, walk of shame type look ever. But he was walking her out and he was just like, I'm a little chilly and I didn't bring a sweatshirt. So he's wearing his suit jacket. And I was like, production, get this man a cozier sweatshirt.
You guys.
Or a robe. Get the man a robe. Like
wrap a blanket around his ass instead of putting him back in his suit jacket. What the fuck?
It looked so funny. I need to get a screen grab of it. It's hilarious.
See, the reason I say that, there's something low-key cringe now knowing that Bree went home where she like walked back into the girls and she was kind of like, wow, like what a date that
she
was.
She seemed confident.
Yeah.
She seemed
she
confident.
wasn't being cocky. She was but now looking back, I'm kind of like, because
she seemed sure of herself. She's like her.
She was like, "Oh, I give him a night, girls."
Yes. Oh no, Bree, we love you. You'll be missed.
The girls were not psyched though, not psyched at all.
No, well, literally, Rachel says she goes, "Oh, I do not want to see her." Rachel is losing it. Okay. She cannot handle it. Michelle is like staring off into the distance and very, very like, starting to feel the nerves. Pensive. But Rachel begins to cry and continues to cry.
Oh no! This is where I was like, here we go, bitch. God. Cue the violins. Oh, Rachel is afraid to lose him. I don't want to hear it. I hate hearing it from anyone on the show. It makes me livid.
No, every time, and especially then, it's like, you know what I don't like, Becca? I don't like when people on the show talk at the other women like they're not also feeling the same thing.
100%. When yes, exactly. Yes. Like, oh, this is going to be like so hard for me with my connection. You're kind of like,
and it's just like so hard for you. Like everybody's experiencing the same exact thing. Like now
Yeah, but of course it's awkward. It would be awkward if Michelle was just like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like that would just be awkward. So instead she's just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, they're just both sitting there, being unnecessarily gracious by not saying anything. I would say something at this point, this far along. If I had some girl who was like, because it was crying, it was just like, I'd be like, honey, I hear you and you have every right to feel that way. I understand. We are also in the same situation. Granted, you got to go last, and in my opinion, that means that though he has been with us,
save the best for last. It's fresh in his mind.
You're the most fresh memory. You get to make the last impact on this person.
I don't know, but you never want to be middle. Obviously, never want to be.
No, middle's definitely the worst spot.
No. But would you pick first or last?
I would definitely. Okay,
you already said what? Okay. Put the sex aside. Strategy wise,
if put sex aside, strategy wise, I would want to go last.
I say first because the first can kind of be romanticized in your mind because it was like a couple days ago. So you might have some just like tiny lingering doubts about the last girl, and you're going to kind of forget those lingering doubts from the first girl because only the positive things are going to like stick in your mind with time.
True. Very true. Very true. Very true. Also, he's not going to be tired like he is on the third date.
True.
My thing though about the third date is strategy wise. I feel like you could come in. This would be my strategy, at least. I'd be like, obviously you gather what you've heard from the other two of like how their date was, assuming that everyone's just going to talk about the positive parts of their date.
Sure.
But I would come in and I would be like, I am playing the strategy of I am low key safe space for you. Like no pressure. And
we've talked about this approach just in general before.
It's like as he is starting to feel like, oh shit,
your oasis, baby.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, oh shit, I had a really good time with both of these women, and now I'm at my third, and I'm tired, and I'm stressed. Who am I going to choose? I don't know. Creating this space of just kind of like, I just want to have fun with you. Like, I really hope this goes somewhere, but like, please off camera be like, I want to take the pressure off you. Let's just have fun. If you want to relax and be low key, I totally get it. I see you. You've been through so much. You've been so busy and you're probably so tired with these late nights. So whatever you want to do, blah, 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 blah. And then come in hot at the end of the night and be like sexy. But throughout the day, be like, no pressure, you relax. Don't feel like you have to turn it on for me. Like, I'm here. I'm like a safe space for you.
Also, later that night, you can just be like, hey, like, no pressure. Like, why don't you lay down? Like, I love to give. I'm a giver. Why don't you lay down? Like, I'm going to give you a little back and foot massage. No, seriously, go to sleep if you need it. Like, this is about you. This is just how I am at home. I'm so chill and low key like this. And I'm like so down to just like give you massages.
I'm going to give you a massage. And then as I'm massaging, be like, also no pressure, but like, you let me know if you want anything else, honey.
Yeah,
and just make
it
okay
like, if I suck your dick, I don't know if you're into that.
Exactly.
But like, I'm willing to just throw that in. Like, that's just kind of what I do. It's like my love language. Dick sucking and like massages and just like, we don't have to talk about our feelings or anything, babe. I'm cool like that.
I do not want to talk about my feelings. Like, all I do is give. Okay. Like, that's just prepare yourself.
Physically.
If you do wind up with me, that I only give. And I don't know if that's going to be too much for you. That is my fault. But like, I'm
honestly,
here.
That's the only thing I get pleasure from. Like, That's like me. I'm generous.
The only thing I get pleasure from is like laughing with my partner, having a good time and giving. Like, that's just kind of, that's just how I am.
Call me motherfucking Teresa. I am here for you. I'm
like Mother Teresa, but I'm just like more fun. You know what I mean?
Imagine Mother Teresa, but like hot.
Imagine Mother Teresa, but like hot and like with a really good sense of humor.
Yeah. And like really fun and like down. Mother Teresa meets Revolve clothing.
That's me. Number 3. Take it or leave it. Your choice.
No pressure, babe.
I know,
pressure. Like I'm ready for an engagement, but honestly, if you just want to like date, you don't even have to tell your friends I'm your girlfriend. Like I'm
like,
cool with that.
Like here's the thing, as soon as the cameras are off, like here's the thing. I'm just gonna slide you my number, and if you cut me, just like send me a little text and let me know if you want to like get together
I'm
afterwards.
a giver.
No pressure.
Matt's just like, I'm gonna leave.
That's just like, this woman won't stop talking about being a giver, and she lit up a cigarette in a very tiny room with the windows closed. She won't take her sunglasses off.
You're just fucking drunk with a cigarette, just like, no pressure, babe. He's like, who is this woman?
So yeah, that would be the strategy I would go for. So I don't know why Rachel is so upset about being the last and just talking about like they have no idea. But she's very distraught by it. She continues to cry throughout the conversation, and then she starts crying once she walks away and is having a moment to herself. It has gotten to her. It has finally broken her. She's been very calm, cool, and collected this whole time, I must say, to give her credit, and now she's done. Like it's gone too far, and she is gonna bring that heavy Libra pow energy, and I'm saying this with all love for my fellow Libras. I'm talking about myself. You all know exactly what I'm talking about if you're a Libra, where you're like, I know that they can read every expression on my face, and I am walking. When she walked directly up to him, when she's normally big smile, runs to him, big kiss. When she walked up and she had like her hands in her pocket and like wouldn't look up, I was like, again, so triggered by old memories of myself when I was living in toxic relationships.
And you do this one. Hey.
Yeah, you're like, hey. And I'm like, just hey. Tell him. Just big smile.
The smile like this.
Yeah, like.
Just like, hey.
And then she
just got me
and
down.
She goes, and she looks up and she goes, how you been? And he says, I've been thinking about you. And she's like, I've been worried about that. And I'm like, I don't know what that meant, first of all. But she was walking ahead of him, so he's having to kind of like hold her. And I'm laughing so hard, Becca, when he goes, I can see that Rachel might have something on her mind. And I'm like, Matt, I mean, she might as well have been wearing a shirt that says like, ask me about my sadness.
Ask me why I'm upset.
Ask me why. And he wouldn't do it. So again, in her, and I say this from my personal experience, I've done this. Oh my God, Evan, I love you so much. I am so sorry for the old times that I put you through where I didn't communicate and I would make it so obvious, dripping off me that I was mad.
And then if they don't notice, then that's even more cause for you to be mad.
And my anxiety is just getting, my like agitation slash anxiety is going further and further. And I was watching it with Rachel when she was doing the pottery and she's starting to get angry and she was like, shit. And she was like messing up and she was like, I just messed up again. And I was feeling that because I was like, when Evan or whoever I was with wasn't noticing that I was like, say something and ask me what's wrong, I started to get agitated. And then she finally was like, I need to talk to you. And that is exactly, I was like, oh my God, how many times have I get agitated and I'm like bumping into something or I like drop something. I'm like, fuck. Irritated. And he's still not picking up on it. And I'm finally like, I have to talk to you, Evan. I have a big problem. and then I spill it and I'm all agitated. No, she was
That kind of makes me like her more in a way, actually.
I'm just like, I you know how my feelings about Rachel, but watching it was just and it was reminding me, you're totally right. There was Maddie energy, but I think it was that Libra Victoria F thing too, where I'm just like, I'm seeing my past and I'm like, oh girl. And I just want to be like, look through the camera and be like, Rachel, take it from me, who has made so many mistakes for years in communication and relationship. Communication is key. Just tell Matt that you're feeling uncomfortable right now and you're feeling frustrated and sad. And before the date, don't make him have to say it. But I mean, he gives her what she wants to hear. That's for sure.
Oh my God. Also, I have to note real quick that the shirt she was wearing is totally the type of shirt that my dad would make fun of. He'd be like, what happened? Like, what did you get attacked by? Who took the rest of your shirt? The way it was in like a little V up.
The little cut with her belly button. What was
I could just see
that?
my dad being like, what happened? Are you missing a couple buttons on your shirt?
You pay for that shirt?
It's missing half of it. Oh my God. Triggered. What killed me is then when she brought up her doubts and everything, that Matt brought up the fucking skydiving fall again. Like, this is seared in his brain. He will never, like, that skydive fall might be the reason that he picks her if he picks her in the end.
Yeah.
That stupid fucking skydive fall.
Well, and that's the thing too. And it was like, he seems to be very attracted to someone who's like, help me. And so then that skydiving fall. And then now the second she walked up and had that energy, that upset energy, I was like, oh, she's top 2, because he's going to get caught up in like having to like help her change her mind or make her feel good. And it was kind of, I know she didn't do it intentionally, but it was kind of genius in the sense that like, he's now going to have an emotional roller coaster moment with her versus with the other two. It was like, this is all sweet and wonderful and romantic and hot. But with Rachel, I'm worried about her. She's normally okay. Does she not like me anymore? Now my adrenaline's rushing because she's telling me she's in love with me and she's so nervous. Am I not going to choose her?
Yeah,
now we're going to have a crazy makeout session.
The highs and the lows. That's where the Victoria F energy comes in.
Yeah, where you're using that. And again, guilty, hi, hello, like manipulation, where it's like unintentional, and then you realize it as you grow, where you're like, that's not good. That is some toxic shit. But, I don't think that it was intentional on her part, but just those moments. And then she waits and she gets what she wants to hear. She gets confirmation from him. And then she is back to happy pottery and they can have their good old ghost moment. And she's laughing and skipping out. And now she's good to go. And now it's, happy times. And she later says that there's no way that the other women have what she has with him. So she feels very confident in her relationship with him. That's for sure. And, by the way, then they end up for the dinner portion. They end up getting the biggest. She gets this whole big house.
She gets a fucking house.
She gets a mansion called Mallard's Landing. It even has a name. That's how big it is.
No, it's like a housing tract. I think they're like trying to get people to move into that community. Like that looked like a model. I think that was a model home. I'm not joking. I thought that's what it was.
It might be at the end of the episode. There might be a little asterisk at the corner. Be like, call
apply
Ken
now
Gates for the estates of Nima Colon, Mallard Landing. Purchase.
I mean, that was pretty fucking sick. What is this place named? What the fuck is Nima Colon? I don't even know what
I don't
this
understand.
is.
And like, is it a hotel? Is it housing developments? Is it a city? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's
truly don't get it. Okay, luxury home rentals. The estates. Damn, this shit looks so fucking fancy.
It's very fancy. It's very fancy.
I think, is this like somewhere, do you think, seems like somewhere you would hold like a very luxurious like team building type thing.
Oh,
like
that would
they
be a
have
nice team building.
Holistic integrative therapy. I don't know. It seems like I don't even know.